Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. And the first T20 International out of three has just finished, and I'm recording this video just after the game's finished. So India winning this game by 6 wickets, a fairly routine win for them. And regarding the starting 11s of both teams, of course with the transition from the 50 over format to the T20 format, there would be some changes in the sides. And despite the fact that, so for the West Indies here, despite the fact that Shai Hope opened the batting for the 5-match T20 International Series against England, he was rightly replaced, I thought, by Kyle Mayers in this 11. And Karen Pollard walked back into the team as captain, but Jason Holder was unfortunately injured, so Roston Chase had to be brought into the side. Akil Hussain, I think, missed the third ODI, so he was brought back into the team. And of course, with the transition of formats, Rovman Powell, who's in extremely good form, was in this team, and also Romario Shepherd was also in the team. So that was for the West Indies. And for India, a fairly interesting 11. Now, of course, Ishan Kishan, despite the fact it's been a fairly small sample size, when playing the role that he intends to play at the top of the order in a white ball side, and wherever he bats really in a white ball side, but I especially think he suits to the top of the order. I think that when he comes off, he's great to watch. And Virat Kohli obviously at number 3. And then another instance of Venkatesh Iyer having to bat out of position, so in this case at number 6. And I've said this before, I think that in T20 cricket, his best position, I feel, is at the top of the order setting the tone. So there's another situation where another case where he's had to adapt. And I'll get to what I think of him batting at 6 when I talk about his batting innings. So India won the toss and chose to field first, and the first ball of the game was a lovely covered drive by Brandon King off Bhuvneshwar Kumar. The outfield was extremely quick in this game, and effectively after the first ball was bowled, from the second ball of the innings, India were in control of this game, I would say. And apart from that first ball, the bowling by Bhuvneshwar, the swing he got, he really was top class in this game, I thought, with overall figures of 1 for 31 in his 4. And the fifth ball of the innings, Brandon King playing the ball with hard hands, and Suryakumar Yadav taking the catch-up point. So an early breakthrough for India. And there were quite a few shots being played by the West Indies, attempted rather by the West Indies, especially early on in the innings. And Kyle Mayers, I think first 2 or 3 boundaries were kind of off Hoik's to mid-wicket. And as his first 2 boundaries especially were off inside edges. So Deepak Chahar, on his figures, you could say 1 for 28 in 3 overs. But actually quite a few of his runs were because the batsman really swung that hard, especially early on. Kyle Mayers really relied on getting his runs through the leg side. And despite the fact that they attempted shots almost every ball towards the start of the innings, in the end, Kyle Mayers 31 of 24. The moment the wrist spinner came on, I wasn't very surprised that he got dismissed because he's not the greatest against wrist spin. He got out LBW with the ball clipping the bail, so umpire's call, so he was dismissed for 31 of 24. And the thing is, Chahal was actually introduced in a fairly interesting time with both left-handers batting at the crease. And the very first ball that he bowled, there was a catching opportunity for Ravi Bishnoi. He took a great catch on the boundary rope. Unfortunately for him, he had trod on the boundary, so Nicholas Puran, he had got 6 runs for his efforts, and he got a reprieve in that as well, so a win for him. And I think that, so Ravi Bishnoi, I forgot to mention him, and he received his cap from Yuzvendra Chahal before the game, and he was quite nervous in this game. I think he bowled 6 wides, but overall 2 for 17 in his 4 overs. And I really think that if you actually look at when he had bowled, as of when he had bowled 3.1 overs, he'd actually bowled 74% googlies and 26% of the conventional leg spinner. And he bowled quite quickly through the air. He did bowl a few wides, but I think it was because of the nerves. Overall, he had a very good day. And I think that he should be happy with his performance. But wrist spin was pretty much the undoing of the West Indies, I would say. Despite the fact that Chahal went for 1 for 34 in his 4 towards the end. Bishnoi with impressive figures of 2 for 17. Roston Chase, I thought that, look, It was actually quite an odd replacement, despite the fact that Boston Chase, at number 3, I've seen in the CPL, he's played some good innings, and I'm sure that his CPL performances were the performances that warranted him to be picked for the T20 World Cup and also for this T20 squad. But as far as his batting is concerned, I think that if you're batting him at number 4, especially with the fast outfield as well. I think that despite the fact that if you're considering the actual kind of the crease strip, let's say, batting was fairly difficult, but it was compensated because of how fast the outfield was, and it was quite dewy as well, especially when India were batting, and I think that considering that kind of a situation, Roston Chase at number 4 to supposedly steady the ship, I don't really think it was a necessary move, because if you're looking at the players who didn't bat, Fabian Allen and Romario Shepherd didn't bat. So clearly, if they had batted, maybe the score would have been more than it was. And Roston Chase 4 of 10 got out LBW to Ravi Bishnoi, and so yeah, he kind of took up the deliveries in the end, despite the fact that I think that he's a very good player, but he did take up quite a few deliveries. And when you have the batting that the West Indies do, I think especially with how fast the outfield was, 4 of 10, it was a bit of a waste really in this instance. He did have an impact on the game with the ball, which I will get to. And the West Indies were 80 for 4 at one point, and an interesting move, I thought, with so Rodman Powell actually got out fairly early. I think it was in the same over as Roston Chase, despite the fact that he's in such good form. An unnecessary shot to get hauled out of to deep mid wicket. So yeah, I think it was an unnecessary wicket that the West Indies lost at that point, and 80 for 4 they were. And an interesting decision, I thought, to send Akil Hussain ahead of Karan Pollard, and I think that just because they thought 1 and a bit overs, maybe more of the wrist spinners, since they were both through the middle phase. If the fifth wicket partnership lasts for kind of a decent amount of time, or at least taking up a few overs of the wrist spin, then Karan Pollard would walk into bat and he'd be facing the paces. And I think that you saw when he was batting that that may have been the plan, considering off the wrist spinners he struggled, I would say considerably more. Even the boundary that he did hit was effectively a misfield by Venkatesh Iyer, despite the fact that the ball did bounce awkwardly. He scored 24 of 19 all in all, and he was much more comfortable against the Pacers, including that huge 6 he hit off Bhuvneshwar Kumar. And the star of this innings for the West Indies was Nicholas Puran, 61 of 43, really the backbone of this innings. He took a while to get going in terms of his strike rate, 30 of 27, but he played quite well this innings. And 61 of 43, and he was the reason why they got this foundation to get the score that they posted, 157 for 7. And 17 extras for India, Ravi Bishnoi bowling, I think, 6 wide. So clearly, as far as the extras front, things weren't necessarily great for India. But 157 for 7, so not really too much damage done. And I thought that, Ravi Bishnoi on debut, 2 for 17 and 4. I thought that the wides were just because of nerves. Bhuvneshwar Kumar, a world-class performance from him, I thought, 1 for 31 and 4. And I thought that overall it was quite a good bowling effort from India. And the place where West Indies, I only actually heard this statistic after the game, 62 dot balls. And when the outfield is this fast, when you've got the batting lineup that they've got, 62 dot balls is not a good thing when you're looking to set a big total. And I think that it's really, comparatively to India's innings, only 35 dot balls in comparison. That too was 15 in the power play, so only 20 dot balls after that point. And so I think that in West Indies really lost out there. If they had got 50 dot balls, that would have been 2 more overs where they could have increased the score. And they almost made a bit of a game out of it, despite the fact I thought that India were never really under pressure throughout the innings. they almost made a game out of it. So I think the West Indies' dot ball count in this innings really let them down here. And India won 62 for 4. Rohit Sharma and Ishan Kishan opening the batting. And the role that they would have wanted Ishan Kishan to play, Rohit Sharma played with 40 of 19, a blistering knock. And it really set the game up for India. And that 22-run over of Udian Smith, I thought that prevented India from getting under pressure throughout the innings, because I think that they were 80 for 1 in turnovers, despite the fact that someone scored 40 of 19 balls, including a 22-run over. But I felt that over really put them ahead of the run rate for the entire game. And a blistering knock from Rohit Sharma. And I thought that, and they showed this as well, in the first 15 balls of the opening spell by the two West Indian opening bowlers, I think it was Sheldon Cottrell and Romario Shepherd, they got double the amount of swing that the Indian seamers got. So the Indian seamers got 1.2 degrees and the West Indian seamers 2.4. And hence why, from both sides, it was a very high quality initial burst of bowling. Rohit Sharma, I think really the carnage started from him when he hit that flick over square leg of Romario Shepherd. That really got him going. It was a shot of his innings, I thought, especially with that pull shot. Also the pull shot where he went to 34 from 28. I think that, this innings was an imperious one from him. Now, Ishan Kishan. Now, I think that I'm actually going to relate this to his IPL franchise here as well. But in this innings, he did struggle a bit. And I think that once again, it was kind of a place where the conditions were difficult to bat. So I don't think he could have really played. Despite the fact how well Rohit Sharma went, I wasn't really surprised that Ishan Kishan did find it difficult on this pitch. And I think that, look, on the tougher surfaces, as we've seen, it's not been the case where he could go slam bang from ball one. And I thought, as I said, he adapted well in the first ODI where he scored 28 of 36. But I think it's also something for his franchise to consider as well, because I'm linking this to his franchise because, yes, when the batting conditions are, or especially when kind of the crease strip, when it offers no demons, then sure, Ishan Kishan really takes advantage of the skills that he has. But when the pitch conditions are difficult, you've seen that 35 of 42 struggled pretty much for most of the innings, and they've paid a lot of money for him, 15 crores. So as much good as he offers, as I said, if considering where the IPL is most likely to be played and a few games in the first half of the previous season playing quite slowly, which is unusual for a Mumbai wicket, so the Wankhede Stadium wicket. So if that is the case, then how will Ishan Kishan adapt his game to? I wouldn't really. I'm not trying to say the fact that he has to transcend the surface and really go like he usually does on a flatter wicket, let's say. But I think that the thing that he'd really have to learn is innings building. And despite the fact that he didn't, the next player I'm going to talk about didn't really play, there wasn't really a big knock. I thought that the 12 out of the 13 balls, and even the ball that he got out, you could say that by that point, okay, the rate wasn't really too big, but he would have wanted to play that shot, considering that the wicket itself was quite, it was gripping a bit. So I thought it was a masterclass from Virat Kohli in the way that he played the spinners. And it was actually when Ishan Kishan was struggling as well, you saw from ball one how much at ease Virat Kohli was in playing the spinners, the way he ran between the wickets, and as he went down the track and hit the four straight down the ground of, I think, Akil Hussain. And I was thinking whether I should say this or not, because I know I've defended Kohli a lot in all these videos and I'll continue to do that. But it's not only me, because Harsha Bhogle also said after the game that Virat Kohli 17, he looked quite good when he batted. So yeah, I think it was a masterclass from him in those deliveries. I thought it would have been an education for Ishan Kishan at the other end to see that of course, look, you can have your natural game where you play aggressively, but I think that if Ishan Kishan really masters or certainly gets to grip with innings building along with the way that, or the thing that he likes to do, I think it will certainly uh, would get better performances on surfaces like these. And I think that it is something for his franchise to consider as well. If, as I've said, I'm not going to talk about Mumbai Indians for too much in this video, but I think that I thought that they weren't as, look, obviously I said that they probably weren't as good this year as they were last year, quite understandably. But if they're considering Ishan Kishan to be part of their batting core, then certainly he's going to have to improve the way he plays on these kind of pitches. Of course, for India as well, but I'm saying, but considering the Mumbai Indians are slightly weaker this year, and if they've paid 15 crores for him, and they would want him to be a core member of the side in terms of his performances, I think that, yeah, he's going to have to improve the way that he plays on stickier wickets. And I'm sure that, yeah, without him batting with Virat Kohli, I'm sure that he would have learnt a lot. Rohit Sharma also had a conversation with him after the game they showed on air. So, yeah, I'm best of luck to him. Everyone has these kind of games, and I'm sure he will come good. And yeah, as long as he just adjusts his game on these kind of surfaces, and I'm sure he'll still be able to play positively. So yeah, that's on Ishan Kishan. And Virat Kohli, the first wicket fell after a quite substantial partnership, and I think that the over 6 and 7, I thought the spinners really kept it tight. Roston Chase was excellent throughout his spell, 2 for 14 and 4 overs. Really, he was the reason why I thought they could make a game out of it, the West Indies. And Akil Hussain, after his first overs, he bowled quite economically. So Virat Kohli got out for 17 of 13. So Ishan Kishan, I think, yeah, before he got out, Ishan Kishan got out for 35 of 42. I think Rishabh Pant walked in at number 4. But soon after that, Kohli getting out for 17 of 13. And India weren't really under pressure for I would say, the entirety of this game. Because the run rate, even then, I thought because of the way that Rohit Sharma went, it pretty much ensured that India, the run rate would, apart from what, skimming 8 and over or just above 8 and over, that was the highest it would get. And because of that, the West Indies had to work quite hard to put pressure on India. But despite the fact that they got some wickets, India 114 for 4 at one point after Rishabh Pant got out, caught a short fine leg. And they needed, I think, 44 of 33 or 32 at that point. And once again, I think that the next partnership showed two positives for India. One, reinstating that I think Suryakumar Yadav is the best middle order batsman in the world right now, because of one reason. He doesn't even take risks at all when he's batting, and yet he walks in at number 5 on a tough pitch. And he scores 34 of 18 in the effortless way that he did. Yeah, I really think this is a top-class innings from him. And once again, reinstates what I said before, that this ability that he had to score at a quick rate without taking risks. And yeah, I think that really helped India in this game. Venkatesh Iyer finishing off with a 6, 24 of 13 balls. And on him, I just feel like, of course, in this game, he's had a great game with the bat. But Rohit Sharma has said that there is no time for experimentation, as there aren't really enough T20 games to be played before the T20 World Cup. And so players would have to play a different role to what they play in their IPL franchises, which with both Ishan Kishan and Venkatesh Iyer, it is true. They won't be batting at the top of the order. And I feel like obviously for both of them, they'd have to adapt to batting in the mid-order. Now, Ishan Kishan has done that before and got success at number 4. And with Venkatesh Iyer, I just feel like, look, he isn't really too established in batting at the top of the order either, because he hasn't really been around in the professional circuit, you could say the highest level, whether that would be IPL or the international scene, for a long time. And so he'd still be finding his feet as an opener. It's something that he likes to do, setting the tone at the top of the order. So I feel that, of course, the fact that this is a World Cup year and there isn't much time for experimentation does go against him. But I really think that to get the best out of Venkatesh Iyer as a number 6, I really think that as they've tried out Ishan Kishan opening the batting today, I think that they should play Venkatesh Iyer opening the batting, I think, against Sri Lanka. Because if he succeeds in the opening role, I think it will make him a better T20 player, and so he would certainly have a better foundation to adapt at that number 6 role. And I thought that Ishan Kishan certainly would be ahead of Venkatesh Iyer in terms of where his game is, which may be true, but I think this inning shows that also Ishan Kishan needs a run at opening the batting as well. So I think it is a fair, it's an unfair situation for Venkatesh Iyer, and you could say Ishan Kishan as well, because they don't really have much time to get things right, and I think that both of them have to have a good IPL for their franchises, and I wouldn't be surprised if they do. But I think that because of all these players that are being tried out, I think that of course there isn't really much time for them to adapt to their role, the other roles in their side, which they'll probably get in the middle order, especially when even when they are opening the batting in positions that they kind of prefer, there are still gaps in their game, and we saw that with Ishan Kishan today. Venkatesh Iyer, 24 of 13, is probably his best performance at number 6 so far for India. But I think that I really feel that he should open the batting in the T20 series against Sri Lanka. I think there is a T20 series, so they should open the batting in the T20 series against Sri Lanka, because I think that if he gets better at opening the batting, I think it will give him a better foundation to adapt to that number 6 role. So the West Indies overall, in terms of extras, much more disciplined than India. 4 extras compared to 17 for India. But India's 35 dot balls compared to 62 for the West Indies. And also, if you combine the fact there was a 22 run over, as I said, there weren't many ways West Indies could put pressure on India. And they, after the second ball of the first innings, including that point and onwards, India were ahead of the game at all stages, really. So a good win for India, and I think that it's quite a huge positive, 2 huge positives in this game, 3 huge positives of the Ravi Bishnой's debut. Also the fact that Suryakumar Yadav is effortless 34 of 18. Venkatesh Iyer coming good at that number 6 role, and also Bhuvneshwar Kumar, I thought he bowled really well. So 1 for 31 and 4 for him. Those are 4 positives. For the West Indies, Roston Chase's bowling really made a game out of things for them. But apart from that, I just felt like they did struggle putting pressure on India after pretty much throughout the innings, apart from Roston Chase. Yes, Akil Hussain came back after his first over and bowled economically. And the first T20 International, India have won in the end. And on to the second one. And if you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and please share this video with your friends. And remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?